Close your eyes. It's November 2021, Gainesville, Georgia. Federal agents knock on the door of a house in a quiet residential neighborhood. The man who answers runs a popcorn business. He is 32 years old. He seems unremarkable. Inside the house, hidden in a popcorn tin in a bathroom closet, agents find a single-board computer. On it, 50,676 Bitcoin. At that day's price, over $3 billion. He had been sitting on it for 10 years, since 2012. Since he was 22 years old and discovered a bug in the Silk Road that let him drain the dark web's most infamous marketplace, one exploit at a time. For a decade he said nothing, told no one, and waited. Inside his house, nestled within a popcorn tin, was a staggering secret, a single-board computer containing a digital fortune. This wasn't just any amount of cryptocurrency. It was 51,680 Bitcoin. At the moment the agents discovered it, this hoard was valued at approximately $3.3 billion. To understand the gravity of this discovery, one must journey back nearly a decade. In 2012, Bitcoin was trading at around $12 per coin. Silk Road, the infamous online marketplace, had revolutionized the use of cryptocurrency for illicit commerce. Launched in 2011, it became a haven for transactions that thrived under the cloak of anonymity provided by Bitcoin. Ross Ulbricht, the mastermind behind Silk Road, was arrested in 2013 and sentenced to 2 life terms. But while the authorities celebrated this victory, another story was quietly unfolding in Georgia. James Zhong had exploited a vulnerability in Silk Road's withdrawal system, a flaw in the digital fortress, and extracted a fortune from under its nose. To achieve this, Zhong created 9 different accounts. Into each, he deposited Bitcoin, amounts ranging from 200 to 2,000 per account. He wasn't just a bystander, he was a chess player in a world of pieces, meticulously planning his every move. When the vulnerability was exploited, he extracted approximately $620,000 in Bitcoin at the time. Over the years, as Bitcoin's value surged from mere dollars to tens of thousands per coin, Zhong's fortune quietly inflated. He led an unassuming life in Gainesville, a stark contrast to the opulence he could have flaunted. He had a boat, the popcorn business, a lifestyle that whispered instead of shouted wealth. His ability to hide in plain sight was as impressive as the heist itself. The Bitcoin was not stored in an offshore account or a hidden mansion, but inside a popcorn tin, within the confines of his own home. The level of simplicity in his method of concealment was as striking as the breadth of his fortune. The story of James Zhong and his hidden Bitcoin cache is a narrative woven with threads of innovation, crime, and profound secrecy. It challenges our understanding of wealth, trust, and the digital age. Zhong's tale is not just about audacity, but also about the incredible changes in the world of digital currency over the past decade. As law enforcement peeled back layers of deception, they revealed not only a massive Bitcoin stash, but also a story that echoed the rise and fall of Silk Road itself. The implications of this discovery ripple through to the broader cryptocurrency landscape, marking a significant chapter in its tumultuous history. This is a story of ambition embedded within quiet suburbia, a tale that compels us to question the boundaries between the virtual and the real, between anonymity and notoriety. It is a modern legend that shines a light on the possibilities and pitfalls of a world increasingly dictated by digital currencies. This is the story of the popcorn tin, a story that began with a knock on a door and an ordinary man with an extraordinary secret. This is Satoshi's Lullaby, and the tale is just beginning. Ready yourself for Chapter 1. Ready yourself for Chapter 1. It was the year 2011. The internet was evolving into a much darker realm, a place where anonymity was both a shield and a weapon. That year marked the emergence of Silk Road, a digital bazaar hidden within the depths of the dark web. Ross Ulbricht, a 27-year-old from Texas, masterminded this intricate labyrinth. Silk Road was more than an online marketplace. It was a radical experiment in libertarian ideals, a place where everything from books to illicit drugs could be exchanged, unfettered by the eyes of the law. This was the dawn of a new kind of commerce, one that pivoted on the burgeoning cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Bitcoin at that time was still in its infancy. Trading at roughly $12 per coin in September 2012, its potential was yet to be fully realized by the masses. However, within the dim corridors of Silk Road, Bitcoin was essential. It offered a veil of secrecy, a means to conduct transactions without leaving a traceable footprint. Ulbricht, known under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts, orchestrated this empire from behind his screen. A trained physicist, he envisioned Silk Road as a way to allow individuals to decide their own fate, free from governmental restrictions. This digital utopia, however, came with its own set of vulnerabilities. The financial system that underpinned Silk Road was complex, yet not impervious. James Zhong, a name that would later become synonymous with one of the largest Bitcoin heists in history, identified a weakness. This vulnerability lay in the very architecture of Silk Road's withdrawal system, a flaw that would allow Zhong to amass a fortune. By the end of 2012, Zhong had already made his move. He created 9 different accounts on the platform, carefully depositing between 200 and 2,000 Bitcoin into each. His method was meticulous, a digital sleight of hand that exploited a race-conditioned vulnerability. This flaw allowed him to withdraw more Bitcoin than he had deposited, siphoning off a staggering 51,680 Bitcoin in total. To put this into perspective, at the time of his exploit, Zhong's ill-gotten gains were worth approximately $620,000. A fortune indeed, but nothing compared to what it would become. As Bitcoin's value skyrocketed over the years, the fortune he stole grew exponentially, peaking at around $3.3 billion by 2021. Silk Road's rise was meteoric, but its fall was swift and oh so public. In October 2013, the FBI arrested Ulbricht in a San Francisco library, severing the head of the Silk Road operation. The case became a landmark in the annals of cybercrime, as Ulbricht was eventually sentenced to 2 life terms without the possibility of parole. His arrest marked the end of Silk Road, but not the end of its impact. The dark web marketplace had inadvertently pushed Bitcoin into the limelight, showcasing both its potential and its peril. For those like James Zhong, it was a playground of unregulated opportunity. Yet as Silk Road crumbled, Zhong's actions remained hidden, a secret locked within layers of encryption and anonymity. The broader context of Silk Road's operations was entrenched in this concept of freedom from oversight, a philosophy that both attracted and repelled. It was a digital frontier, where hackers, libertarians, and criminals coalesced, driven by the same motivation, the power of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's architecture, a decentralized ledger or blockchain, ensured every transaction was publicly recorded yet cloaked in pseudonymity. This dual nature was its greatest strength and its greatest weakness. Within the Silk Road ecosystem, this meant that while transactions were visible, the identities behind them were obscured. As Ulbricht's empire folded, law enforcement around the globe began to turn their attention towards the users of Silk Road. Despite the platform's demise, the trail of digital breadcrumbs it left behind became invaluable. Yet, Zhong's meticulous efforts in hiding his tracks meant he was not immediately caught in the net. For Zhong, a resident of Gainesville, Georgia, the years following Silk Road's closure were a time of careful planning. He hid his fortune in an unassuming popcorn tin, within a single-board computer locked in a floor safe, a modern-day treasure chest. This seemingly innocuous hiding spot shielded his secret for nearly a decade. Despite the legal chaos that ensued after Silk Road's closure, Zhong managed to remain undetected. His choice of concealment reflected not only a strategic mind, but also the paranoia of a man who knew the weight of his secret. How long he could maintain this facade was a question yet unanswered. As cryptocurrencies continued to capture the world's imagination, Zhong's wealth grew. Bitcoin's journey from a niche digital currency to a global financial phenomenon was nothing short of remarkable. From the ashes of Silk Road rose a new era of digital innovation and scrutiny. The legacy of Silk Road lived on, influencing how cryptocurrencies were perceived and regulated. For Zhong, the ticking clock was omnipresent. With each passing day, the potential for exposure increased. Yet, for years, he lived in relative anonymity, a billionaire in hiding. The narrative of Silk Road offers a profound study of ambition, innovation, and the complexities of digital anonymity. It laid the groundwork for many who would come after, including those who saw both the promise and peril in such unregulated spaces. Zhong's story, in many ways, is a testament to the audacity and folly of those early digital pioneers. As we conclude this chapter, we stand on the precipice of understanding how Zhong executed the exploit that changed his life forever. Next, we delve deeper into the mechanics of his actions, an intricate dance of deceit and digital prowess. Turn the page, for the story is far from over. Turn the page, for the story is far from over. Beneath the surface of a seemingly straightforward transaction lurked an intricate web woven by a keen mind. In September of 2012, Bitcoin was still in its nascent stages. Trading at roughly $12 per coin, few could foresee the seismic shifts that this digital currency would provoke in the financial world. James Zhong was among the few who dared to imagine the possibilities. Armed with a deep understanding of Silk Road's withdrawal system, he identified a critical vulnerability. This was not mere luck, it was the result of strategic thinking and meticulous planning. Silk Road, the notorious darknet marketplace, was built on a foundation of anonymity and trust, using Bitcoin as its primary currency. Yet within its financial architecture lay an Achilles heel. The system's flaw was known as a race-condition vulnerability. In simpler terms, it occurred when two or more processes attempted to modify a shared data space simultaneously. By swiftly executing transactions using multiple accounts, Zhong manipulated the system into crediting him with more Bitcoin than he had originally deposited. 9 different accounts, each receiving between 200 and 2,000 Bitcoin, became his tools. Over time, these transactions allowed him to accumulate a staggering 51,680 Bitcoin. At the time of the exploit, this cash was worth approximately $620,000. But as the years passed, the value of Bitcoin would skyrocket. By 2021, those coins would be worth about $3.3 billion. Zhong's strategy was simple yet profound. He orchestrated a series of withdrawals, each designed to appear innocuous. By doing so, he avoided triggering the site's security alarms, which were more attuned to large, singular anomalies. This subtlety was vital to his success. What drove Zhong to engage in such a bold maneuver? Was it ambition, curiosity, or simply the thrill of the chase? Such questions dwell in the realm of human nature, where motives are rarely singular. Born in the early 1990s, James was a product of the digital age. He understood the nuances of coding and the promise of decentralized currency. Silk Road was a bustling marketplace for illegal goods, but to Zhong, it was also a proving ground. Here he could test his skills against a system that was, by necessity, both secretive and vulnerable. As Ross Ulbricht, the mastermind behind Silk Road, was sentenced in 2013, the marketplace began to unravel. But Zhong had already made his mark, quietly retreating with his spoils. To spirit away such an immense fortune required more than technical prowess. It demanded a careful balancing act. As he withdrew Bitcoin, Zhong had to remain vigilant, ensuring his actions left no trace. Each withdrawal was a piece of a puzzle, neatly fitting into the larger picture of his scheme. His ability to remain undiscovered for nearly a decade speaks volumes of his meticulous nature. In the aftermath of his exploit, Zhong faced a pivotal decision. what to do with such a monumental sum. The very invisibility of Bitcoin, its untraceable essence, became both a blessing and a burden. Too much movement could raise suspicion. Too little could render his riches inaccessible. It was a delicate dance of power and restraint. In the quiet corridors of his mind, Zhong must have pondered his next steps. This decision would shape his future, and perhaps the world of cryptocurrencies itself. For now, the spotlight remained on the digital landscape, where currencies like Bitcoin were gaining traction. The years following his exploit saw Bitcoin's value fluctuate wildly. In 2013, it reached a new high, breaking the $1,000 mark for the first time. Yet, Zhong remained patient, observing the market's ebb and flow from the shadows. His wealth, though immense, was not immediately liquid. The very nature of his acquisition meant that discretion was paramount. As one year bled into the next, the digital financial arena evolved. Initial skepticism gave way to broader acceptance, and Bitcoin's legitimacy grew. With it, Zhong's confidence might have also swelled. He had outwitted a system designed to protect its users, amassing a fortune that would elude authorities for years. However, this situation was not without its risks. The digital trail, though faint, was enduring. Each transaction, every clever withdrawal, left a whisper in the chain of blocks. As law enforcement honed their skills in tracking digital assets, Zhong's past actions might have loomed larger in his mind. An inevitable reckoning was taking shape, like distant thunderheads on the horizon. As we delve deeper into the complexities of Zhong's journey, we must consider not only the technical aspects, but the human element. Here was a young man, navigating uncharted waters, with all the triumphs and tribulations that accompany such an endeavor. His actions would ripple through time, influencing countless lives and challenging the very systems designed to protect against such exploits. This story, with its blend of digital intrigue and human ambition, beckons us further. The next chapter promises to unravel the decisions that followed Zhong's audacious exploit. We will explore the intricate dance of concealment and disclosure as he grappled with the weight of his clandestine fortune. Join us as we continue to peel back the layers of this extraordinary tale, seeking to understand not just the how, but the why. What paths did Zhong tread, and what shadows did his choices cast? For the journey is far from finished, and the truth lies just beyond the next chapter's horizon. In the quietude of night, while the world slumbers, the story calls us onward. In the quietude of night, while the world slumbers, the story calls us onward. James Zhong, now holding a digital fortune that could reshape his life, faced a decision that would weigh heavily on any soul. In September of 2012, Bitcoin had just begun its ascent from obscurity, trading at around $12 per coin. He had extracted over 51,000 Bitcoin from the shadows of the Silk Road platform, transforming $620,000 of that time's currency into what would one day swell to billions. The choice before him was profound and fraught with complexities. How does one navigate the moral and practical implications of such a windfall obtained from dubious means? James, then in his early 20s, pondered what this newfound wealth represented. Could it be a ticket to freedom, an albatross of endless consequence, or perhaps an opportunity to redefine his life's trajectory? The immediate aftermath of his exploit was a whirlwind of emotions. Fear, excitement, and a sense of uncanny empowerment swirled within him. Georgia, where James resided, offered a semblance of calm amid the internal chaos. The serene landscapes of Gainesville, with its sprawling green fields and the gentle flow of the Chattahoochee River, provided a stark contrast to the digital world where his fortune lay hidden. James's decision-making process was meticulous, reflecting a mind attuned to detail. He knew that holding on to such a massive quantity of Bitcoin required both discretion and a strategy for longevity. The cryptocurrency realm was nascent, its future uncertain, but his instincts told him that its potential was vast, a belief that many at the time could not yet fully grasp. He began by assessing the risks. The legality of his actions, albeit in a gray area, posed a constant threat. Would the authorities, already circling Silk Road and its participants, eventually focus their gaze on him? Could he evade the long arm of justice, or was this a gamble with stakes too high to contemplate? These questions loomed over him, pressing for answers that would guide his next steps. Then there was the practical aspect of safeguarding his digital treasure. A single-board computer, no larger than a hand, became his fortress. Ingeniously hidden within the confines of a popcorn tin, this simple yet effective measure underscored his understanding of concealment's art. The tin, unremarkable and benign, was locked away in a floor safe, a testament to both his foresight and his desire to maintain a semblance of normalcy. As the weeks turned to months, James found himself living a double life. Outwardly, he was an ordinary young man, navigating the challenges and triumphs of early adulthood. Inwardly, he was a custodian of unearned wealth, grappling with the moral intricacies it entailed. The simplicity of his existence in Gainesville belied the complexity of his internal world, a world where each decision carried the weight of the future. By 2013, the year following his exploit, Bitcoin's value had begun its meteoric rise. The once unassuming price of $12 per Bitcoin had climbed, capturing the attention of investors and tech enthusiasts alike. Yet for James, this appreciation in value only heightened the stakes, amplifying the risks of discovery and the lure of cashing out. He took solace in the fact that Silk Road's downfall diverted immediate scrutiny from him. Ross Ulbricht, the mastermind behind the marketplace, was apprehended in October 2013. His arrest and subsequent conviction on charges of money laundering, computer hacking, and conspiracy to traffic narcotics shifted the spotlight away from the users who lurked in the fringes. For James, this was both a relief and a warning, a reminder of the precarious tightrope he walked. As 2014 approached, the landscape of cryptocurrency continued to evolve. Bitcoin was no longer the sole player. Emerging altcoins and blockchain innovations hinted at a future where digital currency would play a pivotal role. James watched these developments with a keen eye, aware that each advancement could either bolster his decision to hold or challenge his resolve to stay hidden. Despite the changing tides, James maintained a careful approach. He understood the virtue of patience, a lesson continuously reinforced as Bitcoin's trajectory soared and dipped with market speculation. His decision to remain in Gainesville, away from the bustling epicenters of technological innovation, served him well. The quiet town offered protection, its air thick with anonymity rather than the prying eyes of urban centers. Throughout these years, James's life unfolded in the ordinary cadence of everyday events. He celebrated birthdays, attended gatherings, and engaged in conversations where Bitcoin was a mere curiosity, an esoteric topic few around him could discuss with any depth. He found comfort in this disconnect, even as the digital world he was part of continued to grow in significance. Yet the internal dialogue never ceased. Each passing day brought questions of morality and consequence to the fore. Was it ethical to benefit from an ill-gotten fortune? Could he remain unscathed by the web he had been part of weaving? These considerations weighed heavily, shaping his interactions and influencing decisions that would have repercussions far beyond his immediate surroundings. As we conclude this chapter, we stand at the crossroad of intention and action. James Zhong's decision to hold his Bitcoin was more than a financial choice. It was an inflection point in his life. How he navigated this juncture would not only define his future, but also cast light on the shadows of an entire digital age. In the next chapter, we will delve into the art of hiding in plain sight, revealing how James kept his fortune from prying eyes for nearly a decade. The unseen journey continues as we follow the threads of secrecy and revelation intertwined in James's life. The unseen journey continues as we follow the threads of secrecy and revelation intertwined in James's life. James Zhong, a man of curious contradictions, settled in Gainesville, Georgia, a town known for its winding roads and tranquil lakes. It was here, amidst the quiet normalcy, that he crafted a life substantial enough to mask the enormity of his hidden fortune. Gainesville, a community of approximately 42,000 people as of 2020, provided the perfect backdrop for Zhong's clandestine operations. Known for its serene landscapes and proud southern charm, the town seemed worlds apart from the frenetic digital realm where Zhong had made his fortune. In this small town, he was able to blend in, seemingly just another resident among the many who cherished the simplicity of suburban life. Zhong's lifestyle in Georgia was deliberately understated. To those who knew him, he appeared to be a young man with a keen interest in technology, someone with a knack for business and a penchant for privacy. He lived a life that, to the casual observer, seemed unremarkably ordinary. Yet beneath this unassuming exterior lay a secret of staggering proportions, a collection of 51,680 Bitcoin ingeniously concealed. He had placed the Bitcoin in a single-board computer, which was itself ingeniously hidden inside a popcorn tin. The tin was then locked away in a floor safe, buried under layers of mundane household items. This intricate nesting of security was emblematic of Zhong's meticulous nature, a testament to the lengths he went to protect his treasure. The decision to hide his wealth in such a manner was not just about securing it from prying eyes. It was a reflection of his understanding of discretion, learned from years of navigating the shadowy corridors of the digital underground. In 2012, when Zhong first acquired his Bitcoin through the Silk Road exploit, the cryptocurrency was trading at approximately $12 per coin. At that time, the stash he amassed was worth about $620,000. By 2021, the value had skyrocketed to $3.3 billion, an increase that mirrored the speculative frenzy surrounding Bitcoin's rise. For nearly a decade, Zhong watched from the sidelines as the world gradually awoke to the power of digital currency. Throughout these years, Zhong maintained a careful balance between his public persona and his hidden life. His interactions were courteous, yet always tinged with a sense of reservation. Friends and acquaintances noted his reticence, mistaking it for shyness or aloofness. Few would have guessed that behind those quiet eyes lay the burden of managing a fortune shrouded in mystery. The decision to remain in Gainesville, away from the bustling hubs of cryptocurrency innovation, was strategic. Living in a small town provided a buffer against the scrutiny that often accompanies sudden wealth. It allowed him to maintain a low profile, avoiding the inquiries and expectations that might arise in more metropolitan settings. In many ways, Zhong's life in Gainesville was a testament to the art of invisibility. He invested in local businesses subtly, ensuring that his involvement never drew suspicion. His contributions were seen as those of a benevolent local keen on supporting his community, rather than the strategic moves of a man guarding his anonymity. Yet, even as he lived this dual life, the world outside Gainesville was changing. The rise of Bitcoin prompted a new wave of interest in decentralized finance, and with it, heightened scrutiny from regulatory bodies across the globe. As governments began to grapple with the implications of digital currency, the landscape in which Zhong operated grew increasingly complex. This shifting environment presented both opportunities and challenges. For Zhong, the allure of cashing in on his fortune was tempered by the risks inherent in such an action. Each movement in the market, each legislative change, had to be carefully gauged against his desire for security. It was a delicate dance, one that required constant vigilance and calculation. Despite the growing pressures, Zhong remained resolute in his determination to stay hidden in plain sight. He was a master of subterfuge, operating with a level of precision that eluded even the most seasoned investigators for years. This ability to elude detection spoke volumes about his foresight and strategic acumen. As the tide of Bitcoin's popularity rose, so did the attention of law enforcement agencies. The very anonymity that had once been Bitcoin's greatest asset now became a focal point for investigators eager to uncover illicit activities linked to the cryptocurrency. While Zhong had successfully navigated the complexities of the digital underground for nearly a decade, the increasing sophistication of investigative techniques posed a new threat. The encryption and privacy systems he relied upon were constantly tested against the evolving capabilities of forensic technology. Still, Zhong's ingenuity and caution allowed him to maintain his cover, even as the walls of detection slowly closed in. His story was not just one of hiding wealth, but of surviving in a world that was rapidly closing the gaps through which he had once slipped. The hidden journey of James Zhong, from the bustling markets of Silk Road to the silent streets of Gainesville, Georgia, exemplifies the complex interplay of risk and reward in the digital age. It speaks to the human capacity for adaptation and the instinct to protect what is precious, even at great personal cost. In the next chapter, we will uncover how the soaring value of Bitcoin, from a few dollars to tens of thousands, transformed the world of finance and forever altered Zhong's life. The inevitable rise of Bitcoin was not just a financial phenomenon, but a catalyst for change that reverberated across societies and economies, reshaping the very fabric of modern commerce. In September of 2012, Bitcoin was trading at roughly $12 per coin. James Zhong exploited the Silk Road vulnerability when Bitcoin was still in its infancy. At that time, few could predict the cryptocurrency's meteoric rise in value. It started as an experimental form of money, a digital curiosity for tech enthusiasts. Yet, by the end of 2021, Bitcoin reached an astounding $68,000 per coin, transforming it into a global financial powerhouse. As Bitcoin's value climbed, Zhong's digital fortune swelled beyond imagination. Initially, Bitcoin was a niche interest, often associated with cyberpunks and libertarians. In 2009, it was birthed by an anonymous figure known as Satoshi Nakamoto. The white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, laid out its revolutionary concept. It promised a decentralized network that bypassed traditional financial institutions. By 2011, when Silk Road was establishing itself as a clandestine marketplace, Bitcoin had already begun to gain traction as its primary currency. This association with illicit activities cast a shadow over its legitimacy. For people like Zhong, who understood the nuances of digital finance, Bitcoin represented both opportunity and risk. Holding a massive amount in 2012 was speculative and daring. But by 2017, the world started to take notice. That year, Bitcoin skyrocketed past $19,000, sparking a frenzy. Investors from diverse backgrounds, from Wall Street to hobbyists, flocked to participate in the digital gold rush. As the public's interest grew, so did the infrastructure supporting Bitcoin. Exchanges, wallets, and regulatory frameworks evolved rapidly to accommodate its burgeoning market. In these years, Zhong watched quietly from Gainesville, Georgia. His collection of Bitcoin, though initially worth a mere $620,000, ballooned into staggering wealth. This transformation was unnoticed by neighbors and friends, as his lifestyle remained conspicuously modest. The digital fortune lay dormant, hidden away in a popcorn tin, while the world outside changed dramatically. As with any new asset class, Bitcoin experienced wild volatility. There were numerous price crashes, sometimes losing half its value in weeks. In 2013, following the shutdown of Silk Road and the arrest of its creator, Ross Ulbricht, Bitcoin's value plummeted. Yet, these downturns were typically followed by periods of recovery and growth. For Zhong, these fluctuations could have induced panic, but his patience reflected a gambler's fortitude. In the backdrop of this financial upheaval, the technology underpinning Bitcoin, the blockchain, began to gain mainstream recognition. Its potential applications beyond currency caught the attention of industries worldwide. From supply chain logistics to secure voting systems, blockchain's promise seemed limitless. This broader acceptance lent credibility to Bitcoin, as investors began to see it as a legitimate asset. By 2020, institutional investors entered the cryptocurrency market in earnest. Companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla announced substantial Bitcoin purchases, pushing its value into the stratosphere. This legitimization marked a turning point. Bitcoin was no longer just for those on the fringes of society. It was becoming a staple of financial portfolios globally. For Zhong, each surge in price was a reminder of his clandestine success. However, with its rise came increased scrutiny. Governments and financial regulators worldwide began to focus on Bitcoin and its implications. Debates about its environmental impact, potential for illicit use, and regulatory challenges intensified. Yet, despite these concerns, the allure of Bitcoin's transformative potential continued to captivate the public's imagination. For Zhong, the world outside seemed distant, almost irrelevant. His life in Gainesville was unremarkable, a testament to his ability to separate his wealth from his everyday existence. But beneath this calm exterior, the knowledge of his immense fortune must have been both a thrill and a burden. To manage such wealth in secrecy required constant vigilance and an acute awareness of the shifting cryptocurrency landscape. As Bitcoin soared to $68,000 in November 2021, Zhong's fortune reached approximately $3.3 billion. This figure was both astounding and surreal, a testament to the unpredictable nature of digital assets. The Bitcoin he had acquired through a simple exploit had transformed into one of the largest single holdings in the world. Yet, its value existed largely in theory, locked away from the world's eyes. While Zhong maintained his quiet life, the broader cryptocurrency community faced unprecedented challenges. Hacks, scams, and regulatory crackdowns reminded everyone of the inherent risks involved. Trust was a double-edged sword in this digital frontier, necessary for its growth, yet fragile in its foundation. In this rapidly evolving environment, Zhong's story was the silent undercurrent, a narrative that encapsulated both the promise and peril of cryptocurrency. His decision to keep his holdings secret shielded him from prying eyes, but also isolated him from the burgeoning community. As the world around him embraced Bitcoin, Zhong remained a ghost in the machine, unseen but profoundly impacted by its machinations. His life was a paradox of visibility and invisibility, where his actions had monumental financial implications without any tangible presence. The allure of his hidden wealth was tempered by the risks of exposure and the ever-present possibility of losing everything to the unpredictable nature of digital currency. In the end, James Zhong's journey was a microcosm of Bitcoin's broader trajectory, from obscurity to global prominence. As we delve deeper into his story, we uncover the delicate balance between fortune and anonymity that defines his existence. The rise of Bitcoin had set the stage for the next inevitable chapter, an investigation that would unravel this extraordinary tale. In the dimly lit basement of a nondescript home in Gainesville, Georgia, federal agents methodically combed through the belongings of James Zhong. The date was November 9th, 2021, a day that would unravel one of the most astonishing cases of cryptocurrency concealment in history. The agents were following a meticulously crafted plan, pieced together from a mosaic of digital breadcrumbs and financial anomalies. For nearly a decade, Zhong's activities had escaped the radar of law enforcement. But patience, as they say, is a virtue. The investigation that culminated in this basement raid was not born overnight. It was the result of years of painstaking work by a dedicated task force determined to trace the origins and destination of funds that had vanished from the digital ledger of the infamous Silk Road. The federal inquiry had its roots back in 2013, following the arrest of Ross Ulbricht, the mastermind behind the Silk Road marketplace. Ulbricht's double life sentence in 2015 did nothing to quell the questions surrounding the vast sums of Bitcoin still unaccounted for. Among law enforcement agencies, this missing cryptocurrency became a financial enigma. In 2016, a breakthrough came when the Internal Revenue Service's Criminal Investigation Division, or IRSCI, formed a special team named the Cybercrimes Unit. Their mission was clear: to root out the hidden fortunes amassed through illicit means on the dark web. This team, comprised of forensic accountants, digital analysts, and former hackers, was uniquely equipped to tackle the complexity of the blockchain. The IRSCI's journey to James Zhong's door was not a straightforward one. It involved following a trail that led through countless transactions, dead ends, and false leads. But one particular thread caught their attention: a series of Bitcoin movements that seemed to echo the operation of a race condition exploit. This was the same method used to loot Silk Road of those 51,680 Bitcoin. In 2019, a new piece of evidence surfaced. An informant, whose identity remains protected, provided crucial intel on Zhong's obscure transactions. This tip provided law enforcement with the missing puzzle piece they needed. It hinted at a possible location of the hidden Bitcoin, somewhere in Georgia. The following year, in 2020, IRSCI began collaborating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Together, they pooled resources and expertise, scrutinizing every digital trace and financial footprint linked to Zhong. It became a chess game of sorts, with agents anticipating Zhong's next move before he made it. This strategic cooperation eventually led them to his doorstep. On that November day in 2021, the agents discovered what they had been seeking. Inside a popcorn tin tucked away in a floor safe was a single-board computer containing the digital fortune. This discovery was a testament to the lengths Zhong went to protect his secret. It was an ingenious, if not paranoia-fueled, method of safeguarding an asset that had grown from a modest $620,000 to a staggering $3.3 billion. As the agents meticulously cataloged evidence, the enormity of the find began to sink in. A fortune hidden in the most banal of containers, a symbol of Zhong's meticulous planning and the audacious gamble of exploiting one of the world's first digital black markets. The scene in the basement was less about the opulence of wealth and more about the quiet, latent power of untapped digital currency. Zhong, who was then in his early 30s, had maintained a remarkably low profile. His life appeared unremarkable on the surface, with no flashy displays of wealth or public notoriety. Living quietly in Georgia, he had seemingly blended into the fabric of everyday life, an invisible billionaire living among regular folk. The successful operation marked a significant victory for law enforcement. It demonstrated the evolving capabilities of federal agencies to penetrate the clandestine world of digital currency. The raid was a culmination of years of advancement in forensic technology and interagency cooperation. Zhong's arrest was not just about recovering stolen Bitcoin. It was a message to others who might think of exploiting the system, that time, technology, and tenacity were on the side of justice. As Zhong was taken into custody, he faced a sobering future. The charges against him were severe, including wire fraud and money laundering. These charges carried the potential for decades behind bars. For Zhong, the fall from a secretive, untouchable existence to a public criminal case was both swift and unyielding. The legal proceedings promised to be complex, delving into the intricate world of cryptocurrency law and digital forensics. It was a case that would capture public and media interest, highlighting the hidden vulnerabilities in financial systems and the enduring shadow of Silk Road's legacy. As the chapter of Zhong's concealment came to a close, the broader implications of his actions began to unfold. The questions were no longer about how he hid, but why he did it, and what it said about this new frontier of digital wealth. In the end, the fall of James Zhong was not just the collapse of an individual's secret empire, but a pivotal moment in the ongoing narrative of cryptocurrency's role in our world. The story of Zhong and his hidden fortune was far from over. It opened new chapters in the struggle between innovation and regulation, freedom and oversight. As the agents left that basement with the evidence secured, a new path was charted, one that would lead to the courtroom and beyond. The story of James Zhong was poised to shift from a tale of hidden wealth to one of public reckoning and systemic change. In Chapter 7, we will explore the aftermath of Zhong's arrest, the legal battles that lay ahead, and the personal consequences he faced in the wake of his Bitcoin empire's discovery. The morning of November 4th, 2021, dawned like any other for James Zhong. Yet as the sun peeked over the Georgia pines, his world would pivot irreversibly. Federal agents had arrived, and with them, the long-concealed secret of his immense Bitcoin stash unraveled under the weight of both law and inevitability. In the quiet suburb of Gainesville, a small town known more for its poultry farms than for international intrigue, the realization of Zhong's decade-long subterfuge began to take its toll. Zhong faced charges that reflected the magnitude of his actions, a stark contrast to his otherwise unassuming lifestyle. The news of his arrest sent ripples through the local community. How had this man, living among them, amassed a fortune in the shadows? His neighbors, who once saw him as just another resident, now viewed him through a lens tinged with awe and disbelief. Zhong's story quickly became a cautionary tale of the digital age, where anonymity and ambition collided in unprecedented ways. The legal proceedings that followed were as intricate as the digital labyrinth Zhong had navigated. Charged with wire fraud, his case would become a landmark in cryptocurrency-related legal actions. The authorities, in their pursuit, illuminated not only Zhong's activities, but also the vulnerabilities within the burgeoning world of digital currency. For Zhong, the trial was not just a legal battle, but a personal reckoning with the choices he had made nearly a decade earlier. Zhong, in his early 30s, appeared solemn as he faced the court. It was here that the weight of his actions bore down upon him, the realization that his empire built in secrecy could no longer be hidden. His defense focused on the technicality of his exploit rather than a denial of his actions. The court proceedings became a delicate balance between the letter of the law and the evolving nature of digital exploits. As the prosecution laid bare the details of his maneuverings, spectators were left to ponder the thin line between ingenuity and criminality. Historically, such cases were rare. Cryptocurrency had, since its inception, operated in the gray areas of regulation, a frontier both lawless and full of possibility. Zhong's case underscored the need for clearer legal frameworks as digital currencies moved from niche to mainstream. The precedent set by this case would guide future prosecutions and, hopefully, deter others tempted by similar paths. For Zhong, the personal implications ran deep. Friends and family found themselves grappling with the duality of the man they thought they knew. Would he have led a different life had Bitcoin remained a novelty rather than a financial juggernaut? These reflections haunted those who had once shared his confidences, blurring the line between support and disillusionment. The seizure of Zhong's assets, including the infamous popcorn tin, was a stark reminder of the ephemerality of digital wealth. The Bitcoin, once locked away in cryptographic safety, now sat in the hands of federal authorities, an ironic twist for a currency designed to bypass traditional financial controls. This recovery, one of the largest in U.S. history, served as both a victory for law enforcement and a sobering lesson for the cryptocurrency community. Within this community, reactions were mixed. On one hand, there was admiration for Zhong's technical acumen, albeit coupled with his moral ambivalence. On the other, there was a renewed call for ethical responsibility in the stewardship of digital wealth. His actions, while extraordinary, highlighted the ease with which the decentralized ecosystem could be manipulated. As debates raged on forums and social media, the discourse often circled back to the need for balance between innovation and regulation. In the broader realm of law enforcement, the case marked a pivotal evolution. Traditional investigative techniques were now fused with digital forensics, creating a new paradigm for pursuing cybercrime. The successful unraveling of Zhong's web of deception served as a testament to these advancing capabilities. It also sent a clear message: the digital world was no longer an untouchable sanctuary for illicit activity. As Zhong awaited sentencing, the weight of the past decade pressed heavily upon him. He stood at the crossroads of his life's choices, a stark contrast to the boundless potential he once saw in his plans. The court would soon decide not only his fate, but also contribute to the evolving narrative of justice in the digital age. In the quiet moments following the courtroom's adjournment, Zhong reflected on the path that led him here. From the initial thrill of exploiting a system to the growing realization of his isolation, he pondered the true cost of his actions. In a world where digital and reality often blur, he confronted the stark reality that choices made in anonymity still bore real-world consequences. As the dust settled, the broader implications of his case continued to resonate. The lessons learned would inform future safeguards, ensuring a safer environment for the responsible use of digital currencies. Zhong's story served as both a warning and a catalyst for change within the financial and technological sectors. And so, as we turn the page to the next chapter, we are left with lingering questions about the future of money. What lies ahead for the cryptographic frontier remains uncertain, a landscape rich with opportunities, yet fraught with challenges. The echoes of Zhong's saga will continue to influence this unfolding narrative, shaping decisions and policies yet to come. The government's investigation into James Zhong's hidden Bitcoin fortune was a meticulous operation spanning several years. What began as a digital paper trail evolved into a full-scale probe, highlighting the complexities of cryptocurrency enforcement. In early 2020, whispers of undisclosed Bitcoin transactions caught the attention of special agents within the Internal Revenue Service's Criminal Investigation Unit. These whispers gradually unfolded into a symphony of leads that pointed towards a labyrinthine network of accounts and pseudonyms. The breakthrough came when IRS agents, alongside the FBI's Cybercrime Division, focused their efforts on the digital shadows of the Silk Road marketplace. Although the marketplace was shut down in 2013, it left behind a digital footprint ripe for analysis. Ross Ulbricht's arrest had not closed all doors, as hidden keys remained scattered across the digital realm. The agents knew that the assets linked to Silk Road were not entirely accounted for, and thus began the monumental task of retracing digital transactions from nearly a decade ago. In 2012, when James Zhong executed his exploit, Bitcoin was in its nascent stage. Trading at roughly $12 per coin, its allure was primarily to tech enthusiasts and early adopters. The agents delved into these early transactions, recognizing the potential for unclaimed wealth. Zhong's methodology, creating 9 different accounts, depositing between 200 and 2,000 Bitcoin into each, and then exploiting the system to withdraw far more than he deposited, was both audacious and ingenious. By late 2020, the agents had uncovered a curious pattern of transactions that seemed to vanish into thin air. These transactions were linked to a series of wallet addresses that had remained dormant for years. Specialists in blockchain analysis were brought in to trace these transactions. James Zhong's digital fingerprints began to emerge, entwining with dormant wallet activity that held significant amounts of Bitcoin, now worth billions. The turning point in the investigation was a correlation between Zhong's known online aliases and the transactions linked to these dormant wallets. Although Zhong had been careful to obscure his identity, the blockchain's immutable ledger had preserved a trail. By January 2021, the investigation team had narrowed down the possibilities to Zhong. They also found that his lifestyle in Gainesville, Georgia, did not correspond with his purported income, raising further suspicions. On November 9, 2021, federal agents prepared to execute a search warrant at Zhong's residence in Gainesville. The operation was a coordinated effort involving multiple agencies, each tasked with ensuring no detail was overlooked. As they entered the home, they were met with an unassuming setting, a sharp contrast to the digital empire it concealed. Agents methodically searched the premises, looking for any sign of the missing Bitcoin. The discovery of the popcorn tin was a stroke of luck and perseverance. Deep within a floor safe, agents found a single-board computer, innocuously stored within a tin that once held popcorn. This unremarkable hiding spot held the key to a fortune that had eluded even the most advanced digital forensics tools. The single-board computer contained the private keys necessary to access the Bitcoin, a momentous find that confirmed the investigators' suspicions. Zhong was taken into custody, his expression unreadable, as agents continued to sift through his belongings. The discovery of 51,680 Bitcoin, worth approximately $3.3 billion at the time, was both staggering and vindicating for the investigators. This was one of the largest recoveries of cryptocurrency linked to illicit activities in history. The scope of the operation underscored the potential and peril embedded within the digital currency landscape. Federal agents meticulously documented the scene, ensuring that every element of the find was preserved for legal scrutiny. Meanwhile, Zhong was questioned about his decade-long concealment of the stolen Bitcoin. His responses were measured, his demeanor calm, as the weight of the situation began to unfold. The legal proceedings that followed would become a landmark case in the realm of digital currency enforcement. As the story of James Zhong spread, it reverberated through the cryptocurrency community. Investors and enthusiasts grappled with the implications of such a significant recovery. For law enforcement, it was a testament to the evolving capability of agencies to trace and recover digital assets. For others, it marked a reminder of the sophistication required to navigate the cryptocurrency world ethically and legally. In the weeks following the operation, the broader cryptocurrency community reeled from the impact of Zhong's arrest. Forums were abuzz with discussions about security, anonymity, and the future of digital currencies. The very vulnerability that Zhong had exploited served as a reminder of the importance of robust security measures in financial platforms. For many, the story of the popcorn tin served as a cautionary tale, a stark warning of the consequences of digital misdeeds. Yet amidst the unfolding narrative, questions lingered about the nature of cryptocurrency investigations. How many others, like Zhong, had found ways to exploit vulnerabilities? And what measures would be necessary to prevent future incidents? The digital world offered anonymity and freedom, but came with risks that both users and regulators needed to navigate with care and foresight. As Zhong awaited trial, his story continued to captivate those invested in the world of digital currencies. With each new development, the case highlighted the delicate balance between innovation and regulation. The challenge ahead lay in crafting systems that could protect users while preventing exploitation, a task easier said than done. The investigation into James Zhong's hidden fortune revealed much about the complexities of modern financial crimes. As the digital age progressed, so too did the need for comprehensive strategies to address its unique challenges. The lessons learned from Zhong's case would undoubtedly influence future policies and security measures within the cryptocurrency sphere. As Chapter 8 of our narrative draws to a close, the story of James Zhong remains a poignant reminder of the dual nature of digital innovation. For some, it offers immense opportunity. For others, it presents a formidable challenge. As we look ahead, the implications of Zhong's actions will continue to shape the landscape of digital currencies. And so we turn to Chapter 9, where we will explore the reflections and lessons that emerge from this extraordinary tale. And so we turn to Chapter 9, where we will explore the reflections and lessons that emerge from this extraordinary tale. James Zhong's story is a modern saga of ambition, innovation, and the blurred lines between right and wrong. It invites us to ponder the legacy of a single action that spiraled into unprecedented consequence. Zhong's journey is deeply interwoven with the history of Bitcoin and the intriguing story of Silk Road. When Bitcoin was trading at a mere $12 per coin in 2012, few could have anticipated the seismic shifts it would trigger in the world of finance and beyond. Silk Road, launched in 2011, became a notorious pioneer of darknet marketplaces, leveraging Bitcoin's anonymity for illicit trade. In 2012, Zhong discovered a vulnerability in Silk Road's withdrawal system. This exploit was stunningly simple, yet highly effective. By creating 9 accounts and depositing sums ranging between 200 and 2,000 Bitcoin into each, he manipulated the system to withdraw a total of 51,680 Bitcoin. This amounted to approximately $620,000 at the time. Fast forward to 2021, and the value had exponentially increased to $3.3 billion. Such a transformation underscores the volatile nature of cryptocurrency and the profound impact it has on wealth accumulation. Reflecting on Zhong's decision to conceal his fortune within a popcorn tin, one cannot help but marvel at the simplicity and audacity of his method. A single-board computer, locked in a floor safe, within a nondescript home in Gainesville, Georgia, held one of the largest stashes of digital currency the world had ever seen. Zhong's story illustrates not only the rewards, but also the risks inherent in exploiting digital platforms. The decade-long concealment of his Bitcoin highlights gaps in financial oversight and enforcement, which have since become focal points for regulators and developers alike. The legal and personal consequences for Zhong were severe. Once his hidden wealth was uncovered, it led to a federal investigation, employing advanced techniques to trace digital footprints. This investigation marked a turning point in law enforcement's approach to digital crime. Indeed, the sophistication of modern surveillance and investigatory methods reflects a broader challenge faced by the cryptocurrency community. As digital transactions become more integrated into global economies, the demand for robust security and transparency grows. Zhong's case became a catalyst for discussions around digital ethics and regulatory frameworks. It prompted a reevaluation of how vulnerabilities are detected and addressed within financial systems. For developers, his exploit serves as a stark reminder of the critical need for securing code and infrastructure against similar breaches. On a human level, Zhong's narrative resonates with classical themes of ambition and consequence. In the pursuit of wealth, he navigated moral and ethical boundaries, ultimately succumbing to the allure of fortune over legality. The legacy of Zhong's actions extends beyond his personal story. It is a cautionary tale for the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem, illustrating how individual exploits can have far-reaching implications. Bitcoin's rise from a novel digital currency to a global phenomenon mirrors the growth of the internet itself, transformative yet fraught with challenges and unforeseen consequences. As Zhong's tale reveals, the digital realm's rapid evolution often outpaces traditional legal and regulatory structures. The lessons learned from Zhong's story are manifold. For law enforcement, it underscored the necessity of staying ahead of technological advancements. For policymakers, it highlighted the urgent need for developing comprehensive regulatory frameworks that balance innovation with oversight. For individuals, Zhong's experience serves as a reminder of the blurred lines between ingenuity and legality. It poses fundamental questions about the ethical dimensions of exploiting technological vulnerabilities for personal gain. In reflecting on this story, one must also consider the role of Silk Road's creator, Ross Ulbricht. His arrest in 2013 and subsequent sentencing to 2 life terms underline the complexities of justice in the digital age. While Ulbricht's intentions may have been rooted in libertarian ideals, the platform he built became a nexus for illegal activities. Zhong's actions were, in part, facilitated by the architecture of Silk Road, a system designed to operate outside traditional financial regulations. This interplay between individual action and systemic design raises important questions about accountability and responsibility. In the broader context, Zhong's story is but one chapter in the ongoing narrative of cryptocurrency. It exemplifies the potential for immense profit, but also the pitfalls of unchecked ambition. As digital currencies continue to gain legitimacy, the lessons from Zhong's exploit will inform future developments and policies. As we consider the legacy of James Zhong, we see a reflection of our own evolving relationship with technology and wealth. His story is a testament to the ingenuity that digital platforms inspire, but also a warning of the ethical dilemmas they pose. Looking forward, Zhong's narrative will continue to resonate as a case study in digital ethics and security. It challenges us to think critically about the systems we build and the values we uphold. In doing so, it charts a path toward a more secure and responsible digital future. As we close this chapter, we are left with questions that reach beyond the specifics of one man's actions. Questions about the nature of wealth, the limits of privacy, and the future of digital innovation. These questions set the stage for the next chapter, where we will delve deeper into the ramifications of Zhong's story and the ongoing evolution of cryptocurrency. As we conclude the story of James Zhong, we find ourselves reflecting on the fragile dance between trust and technology, a dance that defines our modern age. The Bitcoin foiled in that humble popcorn tin wasn't just digital currency. It was a testament to human ingenuity and ambition, yet also to the persistent shadows cast by secrecy and greed. James's journey is a mirror reflecting the duality of human nature. On one side, there's the brilliance in identifying a vulnerability and the foresight to capitalize on it. On the other, the endless complexities that unfold when wealth is acquired through questionable means. An echo of past actions resonating into the future, impossible to ignore, captured forever by the blockchain's unbiased memory. Despite the veil of digital anonymity, Zhong's story underscores a fundamental truth about trust. True trust can't be encoded or decentralized. It lies in the relationships we forge with one another, in our shared values and mutual respect. Cryptocurrency was conceived as a rebellion against the pitfalls of centralized financial systems, yet it reveals its own paradoxes. In the pursuit of freedom, it offers transparency that can lead to unexpected accountability. Every digital footprint left by Zhong serves as a poignant reminder that in our quest for anonymity, we sometimes find a more revealing truth. The investigation that unraveled Zhong's secret world is a testament to the perseverance of those who seek justice, and a reflection of how trust in technology should be balanced with vigilance and oversight. As society continues to grapple with these new realities, the story of James Zhong will remain a milestone, guiding us through the undiscovered country of digital finance. As you lie in the quiet embrace of the night, let these reflections ease the mind. In the end, all stories are sequences of choices and their consequences, much like transactions on a ledger, each bearing its weight in the grand tapestry of time. Rest now, with the knowledge that the night enfolds you in its timeless continuity. Trust that with the dawn, clarity will gently awaken with the light. This has been Satoshi's Lullaby.